Good afternoon, everyone. The autumn sky was beautiful in the morning. Right before this Mass, I was standing by the window and looking up the sky, and sky was decorated with the beautiful cloud. And from there, I saw, at least from my subjective eyes, I saw a face of Jesus. And I said to him, thanks for showing your face today. It was not like a miracle took place. So therefore, if I may not listen to the Spirit of God today by having a long homily, forgive me. That's one thing I cannot control, but I will do my best. I've met several people who climbed up on the Mount Himalaya, the mountain top. They were great human beings, and they simply loved mountains. And they can't help and resist their heart, this burning heart that was to conquer the mountain top. Wherever they go, they have to conquer the mountain tops. This burning heart is strange. About a year ago, I introduced this Harvard professor, Professor Roy Shoemaker, probably Schumann. He was born and raised in a serious Jewish family. And after became a professor at Harvard University, one day he began to hear inner voices constantly knocking his Jewish heart, saying that I am the mother of Jesus. But back then he did not understand what it meant. Since it was continuously happening, he said to this voice, saying that, I think I'm gradually drawn to you, but don't tell me that you are a Catholic Mary. The Catholic faith is one thing I cannot accept because I was born and raised and my family members are all Jews. My wife's family members are all Jews, and I cannot live staying away from Jewish tradition. Don't say that I have to accept the Catholic Jesus. But that was it. That was what he was being called. The burning heart toward the name Jesus and Mary. Today's gospel is somewhat disagreeable. Jesus said, I will go to Jerusalem, and from there I will be arrested and tortured and humiliated and crucified. The followers of Jesus, they were somewhat entertaining the ideas about Jesus with him going to Jerusalem and conquering the mountaintop and becoming the governor of the whole Israel, the king of the whole Israel. But what he was talking about was totally the opposite. How come you and me have this question? How come this glorious God had to torture his own beloved son? The thing as mom and dad, I cannot do it. Even though I may have to betray my Lord Jesus, but I cannot let my son go through this suffering disaster. I am totally with you, and I am defending you to the end of this time. How come? But from the lenses of today's first reading and second reading, somehow is understandable. The first reading, Jeremiah says, I try not to speak the words I'm supposed to do. I do not want to do it. I'm duped. I'm humiliated. I encounter these persecutions all the time and rejections all the time. Why do I have to do it? But this burning heart I cannot resist. St. Paul, in the prison, says in the second reading that don't comfort with the age, but follow what is truthful, what is perfect, what is right, what is being spoken to you by the Spirit. That's what he means. From the lenses of these two readings, now I understand why Jesus had to say that I have to go through these difficulties. Because it was impossible for him to resist it. Discerning the voices of God, that is always challenging. When I finally decided to go to the seminary, as a young man, I did not know what kind of life I was going to choose. But my father and my eldest brother, they knew what it would be like. And for the first time and for the last time, my father said, do you really want to live that life? And my eldest brother said, one first time and one last time, that was almost 40 years ago. Do you truly want to choose this life? I was dumb enough, but somehow through many signs, I had no choice because of this burning heart toward the life I wanted to choose. Now I'm choosing this life because of you. Why? Because you are accepting me as your priest. And my burning heart is constantly there to serve God and to serve the people of God. That was very clear to Jesus, but it was not clear to his disciples, Peter and his followers. Last week we read the gospel about Peter being the rock. Shimon, I change your name into Cephas. Petros, the rock. And I will build my ecclesia, church, on the rock, Petra. And today, Jesus says, in response to Peter's reaction that, Master, you are not supposed to do it. We want to choose the successful life, comforting life. Do we have to go through this torture and persecutions? He and other disciples were not ready. They did not have ears to discern about the voices of God. But in the end, they did it. Today's topic, therefore, is then in what way we can discern about the voices of God so that we do not have to make the mistakes we've done so far. So that our future can be led under the light of God. Saint Ignatius, in his spiritual exercises, teaches us the 5 steps toward the meditation. But today, I am going to share just first two preliminary steps with you so that you can simply remember the principle under which you want to pray about your discernment. Throughout our lives, we've encountered many difficult, challenging decision makings. When you are young, the youngsters, they are discerning about whether they want to marry this man, this lady, while there are other men and girls who have other beautiful qualities than why this person? How come all the conditions are not after my own heart, but my heart is drawn to this man and drawn to this woman? Why is that? We want to discern about whether we want to go for medicine or business. Some people are facing more severe decision making at the presence of their life and death. Just like my friend Father Paul Kang said, many people undergoing chemotherapy, they are not dying because of the cancers, but because of the chemotherapy itself. And I'm thinking about stopping the chemotherapy so that I can see my life clearly to finalize my life. Those people, if you are sitting in this church or your loved ones are undergoing those situations, it's a tough decision making. Just like seeing my patient who are talking about suicide and considering this person's backgrounds, it's better for this person to die than continue to live, while having this heavy influence under alcohol, drugs, and all those derailed lifestyles. It's better for this person to die. And this decision making is so painful. Life is not easy, and these challenging decision makings will be awaiting even from now on until the day. We as believers, we do not simply want to follow the psychological number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or wise man's advices. Maybe we want to look for the answers from priests and nuns and spiritually well-seasoned people, but yet we are all human beings. And in the end, we have one place to go. That is the presence of God. So when we want to pray, to discern about ourselves, first step is, St. Ignatius says, try to invite the presence of God. The presence of God. And we have this illusion that the presence of God is rosy, sweet, comforting, and rainbowy. No. From my personal experiences and from my spiritual directions to the people who are facing the serious decision makings, they were not experiencing the rosy presence of God. They were simply experiencing the storms, disgusting feelings towards themselves, and dislikable memories from their own past, and all the people who were torturing and betraying them throughout the past history. Sitting quietly in front of God is not fun. Therefore, we simply want to give up on sitting quietly because my mind doesn't allow. I want to say that is normal, and the presence of God is like that. The presence of God is scummy and disgusting and filthy. The presence of God is stormy. And the last moment before we conquer the summit of the mountain, instead of facing God, we want to just disappear from this world. Don't give up. That's the presence of God, signs of God. Signs of God in the presence of God. They are no fun at all. The precious answer is hidden behind these turmoils. These turmoils, then why are they there? That is to invite you into the deeper co-pilgrimage with you. If you wanted to take the pilgrimage with God, God knows that you want to be competent with God. And God knows that we need this purification procedure. In the way we want to clean with a sandy paper on the rock. Those filthy, disgusting, disagreeable feelings and imaginations and memories, they need to be there as the presence of God to purify you. So don't give up. The presence of God is more important than your prayer to God. Because in the end, what we need is God's presence in my life. And with God, we can walk. The second point St. Ignatius teaches is then at the presence of God, whether they are stormy or disgusting or disagreeable, in the end you somehow are earning a small hint of peace, small dim light from God. And that's the place, that's the time you want to pray about your grace. So that is called the grace to be prayed. When you pray, just like Father Paul can, Lord, should I continue my chemotherapy or stop it? You need to be concrete with the discerning theme. But before you even open your mouth, God knows it. Many times, we may fail in discerning the right directions. I've done, you've done it. We are the masters of failures in finding God's will. We are the professionals. But remember that Jesus said, Peter, I will build my church on you, the rock. And this time again, you are the stumbling rock, you are the scandal to me. You are in the way. But I will continuously build my church in your failures. Today, Jesus will clearly say to you, I know who you are. And I do not expect you to be more than where you are and who you are. I will continuously build my church in your failures, in your disgusting feelings, in your anxieties, in your fears. I will continuously build my church on all of you. Don't give up.